Could the miracles described in ancient texts be explained by science without diminishing the divine power behind them? The plagues of Egypt, from blood-red waters to darkness, challenge us to question, are they supernatural punishments or a chain of natural events? This exploration invites you to ponder how science and divine mystery might intertwine beyond our understanding, blending faith with reason in a wondrous dance. From the dawn of human thought, mankind has sought to understand the origins of the universe and the forces that govern it. Ancient scriptures tell us that God is the Creator, the source of all existence, whose wisdom fashioned the heavens, the earth, and everything within. But what if the natural laws that scientists discover today are not in opposition to divine power, but rather the very language through which God orchestrates creation? Science often prides itself on uncovering patterns, formulas, and cause and effect relationships that explain natural phenomena. Gravity pulls objects downward, chemical reactions transform substances, and ecosystems maintain delicate balances. These laws, observed consistently and universally, could be seen as the frameworks God put in place at the moment of creation, unchanging principles that sustain the cosmos. In this way, science does not challenge the idea of God. It reveals the intricacies of His design. Consider the concept of the laws of nature as divine commands, immutable and perfect, reflecting the mind of God. Just as an architect designs a building with precise measurements and functions, so too did the Creator establish order through natural laws. The Bible frequently associates God's creative acts with order and purpose. For instance, the formation of the earth, the separation of waters, and the cycles of day and night can be viewed as the establishment of these laws. Science then becomes a tool for humanity to glimpse this divine architecture. When we look at the plagues of Egypt, the idea of a supernatural punishment can coexist with the idea of natural, cause and effect events chained together by these laws. For example, the Nile turning to blood could correspond to a natural phenomenon such as a red algae bloom, which would trigger a cascade of ecological disruptions, frogs leaving the water, infestations of insects, disease and darkness caused by atmospheric conditions. This sequence can be understood scientifically, but the timing and purpose behind such a chain of events may well be guided by a divine hand. The harmony between the biblical narrative and scientific explanation invites deeper reflection. What if the Creator's power is not diminished by scientific insight, but rather magnified? To say that God used natural laws to carry out miracles does not make them any less miraculous. Instead, it suggests a God who is intimately involved with His creation, operating through the very mechanisms He designed. This is a divine intelligence beyond human comprehension, a God who sets the rules, yet transcends them when needed. Science often seeks to break things down to understand how they work, while faith embraces the mystery of why things exist. Both perspectives are essential for a fuller picture of reality. The laws of nature, with their predictability and consistency, provide a foundation for life. Yet within this order, there remains room for the miraculous, the intervention of a power that surpasses all laws. Thus, the creation and the science of God are not adversaries, but partners in revealing the profound truth of existence. The plagues of Egypt serve as a vivid example, a story that can be studied both as a supernatural event and a natural phenomenon. Whether viewed through the lens of faith or reason, they point to the same ultimate reality, a Creator whose power and wisdom shape the universe, sustaining it with laws and mysteries alike. As we continue this exploration, we will see how miracles far from contradicting science can coexist with it, inviting us to marvel at the divine order and the mysteries beyond human reach. What seems like a simple chain of natural events may, in fact, be the unfolding of God's purposeful plan, a reminder that behind every law lies a lawgiver. Throughout history, The Bible recounts numerous miracles, extraordinary events that defy ordinary explanation and reveal the hand of God in human affairs. These miracles captivate believers and skeptics alike, raising profound questions about the nature of divine intervention and the workings of the natural world. Could some of these miracles have scientific explanations that coexist with faith in God's sovereign power? Take the 10 plagues of Egypt, for example. The narrative tells of water turning to blood, swarms of frogs, infestations of lice, and darkness covering the land. To modern scientists, these events might suggest a sequence of natural disasters triggered by ecological imbalances. A red algal bloom or red tide could have contaminated the Nile, killing fish and turning the water reddish. This environmental change could have forced frogs out of the water, leading to their overpopulation on land, which in turn attracted insects like lice or gnats. Disease and darkness could result from subsequent atmospheric and environmental effects. Yet, even if science can explain these phenomena, the biblical account emphasizes that God was the author and orchestrator of these events as a form of divine judgment and revelation. Another striking example is the parting of the Red Sea, one of the Bible's most famous miracles. Some scientists propose natural causes like strong winds, tides, or geological events that temporarily expose land bridges or shallow waters. While these theories provide possible frameworks for understanding the event's physical aspects, the miraculous timing and purpose saving the Israelites and defeating their pursuers transcend mere natural explanation. Here, science offers insights into how the event might have happened, but faith holds that God's will and power made it happen exactly when needed. Even in the New Testament, miracles such as Jesus healing the sick, walking on water, or multiplying loaves and fishes challenge simple scientific explanation. Some researchers have examined psychosomatic healing or unexplained phenomena, yet none can fully account for the scope or nature of these acts. Crucially, the biblical text presents these miracles not as scientific anomalies, but as signs of God's kingdom breaking into the human world, demonstrating divine authority and compassion. What these examples teach us is that scientific inquiry and faith need not be enemies. Instead, they can be complementary ways of understanding reality. Science helps us explore how things happen, uncovering the mechanisms behind physical phenomena. Faith invites us to consider why these events occur, their meaning, purpose, and the divine presence behind them. When approached with humility and openness, science can deepen our appreciation for the complexity and wonder of God's creation. It is important to remember that explanations rooted in science do not negate God's role. On the contrary, they reveal the incredible depth of His creation, laws and processes so finely tuned that they can produce extraordinary outcomes. The miracles recorded in the Bible remind us that God's power is not limited to suspending natural laws, but also includes working through them to accomplish His will. Thus, whether the plagues of Egypt are seen as supernatural punishments or a chain of natural events, they remain a testament to God's authority. The scientific perspective enriches the narrative without displacing the divine purpose. Every frog that croaks, every darkened sky, and every afflicted household points back to a God who remains at the center, sovereign over both the natural and the supernatural. As we move forward, this balance between faith and science will become clearer. Miracles can be understood as divine acts carried out through the natural world, a world imbued with God's presence and power. This delicate harmony challenges us to hold wonder and reason together, appreciating both the mystery and the knowledge we can gain. When we observe the natural world, the first thing that strikes us is its order and consistency. The sun rises and sets with reliable precision, seasons cycle through their patterns, and countless ecosystems thrive in delicate balance. This order is governed by laws of physics, chemistry, biology, that explain how matter and energy interact. But beyond their scientific descriptions, these laws can also be understood as reflections of God's infinite wisdom and power. The Bible often speaks of God as one who upholds the universe by His word. In this view, the laws of nature are not arbitrary or accidental. They are deliberate, designed to sustain life and create harmony. From the force that holds atoms together to the gravitational pull shaping galaxies, everything points to an intelligent source. This divine power is not distant or disconnected, but intimately involved in the fabric of reality. Science helps us to map and describe these laws in precise terms. We learn why water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level, how light travels in waves, and how living organisms adapt through evolution. Yet, this detailed knowledge does not explain the ultimate origin of these laws or why they are so finely tuned to allow for life. It invites awe rather than diminishes it. The plagues of Egypt offer a vivid example of how natural laws can reflect divine power. Imagine a natural disaster unfolding. A toxic algal bloom contaminates the Nile. Frogs flee the poisoned water. Insect populations explode. Livestock fall ill, and darkness covers the land. To scientists, this is a chain reaction, an ecological domino effect. But to believers, each step in this chain is under God's sovereign control, a manifestation of His will through the mechanisms He established. This intertwining of divine will and natural law suggests that miracles may not always be suspensions or violations of nature, but rather extraordinary uses of natural processes. In other words, God's power can work through the laws He created, using them as tools for His purposes. This idea transforms how we view both science and faith. Science becomes the study of God's handiwork, and faith becomes the recognition of God's ongoing activity within that handiwork. It is important to recognize that human understanding of natural laws is limited and evolving. What seemed miraculous or inexplicable in the past can become understood through scientific discovery. Yet, no matter how much we learn, there remains a mystery that science cannot penetrate. The reason these laws exist at all, why they are so exquisitely balanced, and who set them in motion. Thus, the power of God is not diminished by scientific explanation. Rather, it is revealed in the majesty of creation itself. The laws of nature are like the strokes of an artist's brush on a vast canvas, precise, purposeful, and beautiful. Behind every phenomenon, from the smallest particle to the grandest star, is the sustaining presence of God. Reflecting on this brings a renewed sense of wonder. When we see a plague or a miracle, we are witnessing not only a natural event, but a divine message, a reminder that God's authority transcends what we can observe or measure. The order in nature coexists with moments of the extraordinary, both part of God's grand design. As we continue our journey, it becomes clear that faith and science are not adversaries but companions. Science reveals the intricate workings of the universe. Faith reveals the meaning behind them. Together, they invite us to explore both the seen and the unseen, to respect the laws and marvel at the one who governs them. In the story of the plagues, this harmony is beautifully illustrated. A natural chain reaction. Yes, but one with divine intention and power behind every link. It challenges us to see beyond surface explanations and to embrace the mystery of a God who controls the natural world while remaining sovereign above it. The New Testament brings forward a new chapter in the story of miracles, acts performed by Jesus Christ and His apostles that reveal divine power in deeply personal and transformative ways. From healing the sick to feeding thousands with a few loaves and fishes, these miracles challenge human understanding and invite believers to witness the ongoing work of God in the world. Yet, even as science offers possible explanations for some of these events, the central role of divine power remains undeniable. Take, for instance, the healing miracles attributed to Jesus. Modern medicine and psychology can sometimes offer insights into spontaneous remission or the placebo effect. But many healings recorded in the scriptures exceed these explanations. Blindness restored, paralysis overcome, and even raising the dead defy natural laws as we know them. Scientific inquiry can study these phenomena, but it cannot replicate or fully explain the complete scope of these divine interventions. Similarly, the miracle of feeding the 5,000, where Jesus multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fishes to feed a vast crowd, invites scientific curiosity. How could such a multiplication happen? While natural explanations might consider sharing or collective gathering of food, the biblical account stresses the supernatural nature of the event, emphasizing God's providence and care. Science might help us understand logistics or food distribution, but it cannot diminish the miracle's spiritual meaning or purpose. Walking on water is another miracle that stretches human comprehension. Physics tells us that water cannot support the weight of a human without flotation devices. Yet Jesus' command over nature in this event shows divine mastery over physical laws. This miracle is symbolic of faith conquering fear and chaos, with science unable to replicate or fully grasp the phenomenon. What these New Testament miracles highlight is a fundamental truth. Faith and science address different dimensions of reality. Science investigates how things happen, using observation and experimentation. Faith asks why they happen, what is the divine purpose and meaning. Together, they form a fuller picture of existence. While science enriches our understanding of the physical world, faith reveals the spiritual realities and God's active presence. It is also important to recognize that the power behind these miracles is not in the phenomena themselves, but in God's will working through Jesus and his followers. The miracles serve as signs, confirming the message of salvation, compassion, and divine authority. They point beyond themselves to the kingdom of God, inviting belief and transformation. This harmony between faith and science encourages believers not to fear scientific discovery, but to embrace it as a means to appreciate God as intricate creation. Scientific explanations do not displace miracles. They invite us to see them as extraordinary manifestations of the divine working within natural laws. In this light, the New Testament miracles echo the ancient plagues of Egypt in their profound message. God's power transcends nature while using nature as his stage. Both Old and New Testament miracles call us to trust in a God who is deeply involved with his creation sovereign, loving and mysterious. As we continue to explore these themes, it becomes clear that science and faith are not in conflict but in conversation. Each invites us to wonder, to question, and to believe. The miracles recorded in the Bible are not just stories of the past. They are invitations to see God as ongoing presence in a world that science helps us understand, but faith helps us transcend. As our journey through the mysteries of miracles and science comes to a close, a profound truth emerges. While science is a powerful tool for exploring the natural world, it will never fully unravel the depths of divine mystery. The laws and phenomena that science studies are part of a vast, intricate creation, one that points beyond itself to a creator who transcends human comprehension. Science approaches the universe with curiosity and rigor. It seeks to explain phenomena through evidence, experiments, and models. Over centuries, it has unveiled breathtaking truths about the cosmos, life, and matter. Yet, no matter how advanced our technology or how precise our measurements, science operates within the limits of human perception and reasoning. It addresses the how but struggles with the why. It can describe processes but not ultimate purpose. God, as revealed in Scripture and experienced through faith, exists beyond these limits. He is not confined to natural laws, but is their origin and sustainer. His wisdom surpasses human understanding, and his ways are often mysterious. The miracles we have explored, from the plagues of Egypt to the wonders of the New Testament, remind us that God can act within nature and beyond it. often in ways that defy explanation. Consider the plagues as a case study. While natural phenomena may have triggered the events, their timing, sequence, and spiritual significance reflect a divine orchestration beyond mere chance. The darkness that covered Egypt, the water turned to blood. The swarms of frogs, all carry meanings and purposes that science alone cannot decode. This realization invites humility. As humans, we must acknowledge that our scientific knowledge is partial and provisional. New discoveries may shift paradigms and deepen understanding, but the ultimate source of life and existence remains a mystery wrapped in awe and wonder. Science can illuminate the world's mechanics, but it cannot replace the need for faith in a transcendent God. Moreover, faith does not reject science, but complements it. The two together create a fuller picture of reality. Science reveals the intricacies of creation, and faith reveals the Creator's hand. This balance allows believers to celebrate the wonders of the natural world without losing sight of the divine presence that infuses it with meaning. In the end, the question is not whether science or faith is correct, but how they can coexist and enrich one another. The mysteries of miracles challenge us to embrace both reason and reverence. They remind us that God's power and wisdom are far beyond what human minds can grasp, yet He invites us to seek Him with trust and awe. The plagues of Egypt, the miracles of the Bible, and the laws of nature all point to a reality greater than ourselves. They beckon us to a journey not only of scientific discovery, but of spiritual insight, where the wonder of creation meets the mystery of the Creator. As we close this reflection, the invitation remains open, to explore the world with curiosity and humility, to question and to believe, to respect the power of science and to honor the mystery of God. For while science strives to explain, God remains eternally beyond our full understanding, a divine presence that transcends time, space, and the very laws that govern the universe.